All right, cooking. What do we do for cooking? Well, glad you asked. So a couple of things. I'm just going to kind of rifle through these as quickly as possible. I bring these plastic items like this. They're BPA free. Just get them on Amazon. And this one for oil. This one I just fill it up with salt and pepper combination. That's it. So when I'm frying fish, I use minimal oil, and I just, as a spice, it's just salt and pepper mixed together. I don't get into all that stuff. I mean, you know, you can watch videos from guys that, you know, bring thyme and rosemary, and they make some sort of gourmet meal. Well, that's great. I just smile and chuckle and say more power to you, but it's not me, all right? I'm out there to get her done. I know that's not how you say it. Okay, so the other thing, just a couple little sort of items that yeah, I don't know who does exactly what I do, but just got a really old tin mug. I rotate through these. I do have a few other ones, but anyways, this is a kind of an antique one. Cool little one. All right, so what's my actual cooking utensils? So I've got one of these portable Teflon coated pans for frying fish. I don't like Teflon, and I've got my issues with that, but on a canoe trip, I'll use it because it's just a short little you know, usage time compared to the rest of my life. So it just makes it easy to clean and whatever, right? So, and then I do have a extended cooking kit here from MSR, and it's basically 2 pots. I really only use one, but it fits together really nicely. 2 pots, and then kind of a pan-ish item, and they're separated by these little towels that help prevent scratching and such. But so I don't even use this pan very much at all, and I don't use any of these in the fire. I use the pan in the fire, and then the rest of these to try to, you know, keep the soot. See, I still get it. I've used it a little bit in the fire, but most of the time I'll use this with the stoves, the twig stove or the propane stove. So, and that's for, you know, cooking basically oatmeal, which is my staple in the mornings. So anyway, that is that much. And then what do I eat with? Well, okay, so there's a couple of things. Okay, so I also have this little guy here. This is an instant handle for the edge of a really hot pot, and you just kind of clamp it on the edge. And so I have been using this for years and years, and now I am kind of moving to this UV glove, insulated glove, so I can grab anything anytime. I don't have to just use the handle to grab a pot. I can grab anything, any pot, any pan, whatever. It's just a good protective glove for heat and whatever else too. So the only other things that I bring with regards to cooking, if someone's coming with me, I may have something like this, which is like a collapsible bowl, and then I'll have these. I'll usually bring 2. I don't need more than 1. This titanium spoon, long-handled spoon, is all I need for pretty much everything. I honestly, even for fish, I just need something to kind of, you know, shovel a piece of fish into my mouth. So again, I try to be as minimalistic as I can, but really, if you don't have a lot of this stuff, I mean, just go grab a fork and a spoon from your kitchen drawer, and it'll be fine, right? This titanium, just, it's a tiny bit lighter, and so that's, you know, one of the things. It's not too expensive, so that's why I have them. And then for cleanup, I just have this plastic, whatever it is, scrubber thingy, and then I just use kind of like a biodegradable camp soap here from Coughlin's, I believe, biodegradable soap, and that's kind of what I'll do just down by the shore. Sometimes I don't use anything at all other than sand from the edge of the shore to clean up after dinner. Okay, moving along, still regarding stuff I put in my body, all right, I am a big fan of this type of filter. Now, I am the only one that I have ever seen in my entire life on YouTube. I think there are others, but I'm the only one that I've seen who likes this style of pump. where you just attach this to any Nalgene bottle. It's all compatible. And then you just kind of pump it like this for about, I can fill this up in about 3 or 4 minutes of gentle, slow pumping. This just sits in the water and there's a float that keeps it from going to the bottom. It's incredible. I see, I gotta say this, guys, I see some really rugged, tough guys who do way more hardcore stuff than I do on there. Like these guys that go all over, like to the Arctic and go down the Nahanni for 3 weeks and all this kind of stuff. I haven't even done that. These guys are tough dudes and they have the time and the money and the, you know, the energy to do that. And yet these tough guys and girls will say on their videos, oh, I just don't like the pumping. This just takes too long and it's just too difficult to pump. This, too difficult. So what they do is they bring these bladder filter thingies where somehow it's easier to fill an entire huge bladder with water and then stick it up over your head on a tree so that the water can be sucked down or gravity can pull it down through a filter and into another bladder. Personally, I think that's harder, but you know, to each his own. That seems to be the filter du jour. People do that nowadays. I don't see anybody using these, but I'm a big fan of these, and so there are links below where you can check this out for yourself. Okay. I have here some random ankle, I don't know what you call them, just elastics, and I put them around my legs, my ankles when I have long pants and it's, you know, the season, like there's ticks around or something like that. It just makes it a little bit more difficult for them to make their way up my leg. So again, I wouldn't even bother mentioning these except for the fact that not only can I use them for that, but they're very reflective at night and they're neon and they can be used maybe to be seen a little bit better in certain conditions. So I just have these in my bag all the time. All right, here's the elephant in the room. Bathroom time. So it's just a Ziploc bag. I've got toilet paper and biodegradable wipes. Most people don't talk about wipes. I don't want to get too graphic here, but like, I'm just a clean guy. So I like wipes. I don't just use toilet paper. As far as a trowel goes, honestly, I use my foot for what you would use a trowel for. I think you understand. I won't talk about it anymore. We'll leave that one, all right? Okay, something that is near and dear to my heart is what is it that you put on your head? Okay, so I personally like the style of a hat like a baseball beanie, and the reason I do, and this is kind of a big deal, if you take a wide brimmed hat like a Tilly, for example, or used to be called, what is it, Oregon Research, Outdoor Research, I think it's called now. Anyway, they're great, except for the fact that if you are wearing one of those, of course it has a brim all the way around, which means that if it rains, you can put on a rain jacket, but the rain jacket typically has a hood, right? And the hood doesn't go on very easily or at all if you have a wide brim all around your head. So you might say to me, well, the hat's waterproof. Well, okay, let's go with that and assume that wind isn't going to blow the rain in sideways on you. And even if you do that, though, now your hood is going to fill up with water, or you got to somehow tuck it in awkwardly inside your collar or something like that. I just find it easier to put one of these beanies on, and then if you bring the rain hood over, it just sits right on the brim. And if you didn't have the hat, the rain hood would kind of fall over your face. It doesn't usually have a good structure to it, so this helps to add to the structure to it. So if I know that the weather is going to be perfectly, well, let's say if I know that there's going to be rain, or if I suspect there's going to be rain, I will bring this hat with me. This is from Columbia. It's a waterproof hat. It's got a material called Omnitech, but I think there's even newer ones. And it just beads off, water beads off like the duck's feathers. And so it's good to keep the sun out of your eyes. And if you're wearing it on a sunny day, it doesn't protect your ears because I don't have a lot of hair. So that's where I use the sunscreen that I told you about, the stick. And then just this, and it's ready at a moment's notice to put my rain hood over. So I just find it really convenient. The other thing is, if I know that it's going to be really good weather, or I suspect that it's mostly going to be good weather, I like this particular beanie. The reason I do, it's from a company called Panther Vision. You can check them out online. I've got links below as well. And what it is it's just got it's a really cool, I don't know how much you can see on here, but it's in the nighttime you can really see it, and it's got 3 LEDs built into the rim, or the brim itself, and honestly you can't even see them when you, like, where are they? You can't see, but there's 2 that sit right under here, and then there's 1 right there. So they're really, really bright, and you don't need the headlamp. In fact, the headlamp is not as bright as this. So anyway, it's kind of a neat thing from Panther Vision. You can check it out. They've got some really cool ones. This is kind of an old one. It doesn't look as cool as the ones they have now, but it's a neat thing to have. As far as shoes and footwear go, I bring like a pair of Keen style shoes. This is a no-name brand pair of shoes, but they're modeled. They're a complete takeoff of Keen. They just work for me. They got tough toes. They're like wearing sandals, except your feet are really well protected, and they dry pretty quickly. I also have a pair of Croc style shoes that I wear at camp, and they're not Crocs, and but they're tighter fitting, but they're that material, that foam, whatever it is, foamy, rubbery kind of material, and you can wear them nicely with a pair of wool socks, for example, and they're just really comfortable at camp. So, and I can also wear them for tripping as well. They're not just exclusively at camp. So everything I have is kind of, you know, dual purpose. A couple items before we get into some of the bigger stuff like tents and sleeping bags. I will sometimes bring a self-inflating pillow like this one. This is all wrapped up. Depends on how wildernessy I want to get, and I don't really like the inflatable pillows, self-inflating or otherwise. They tend to not let my ear kind of breathe, and so I sometimes get like, you stick your ear on there and it feels like no air can pass through when you move your head, and I feel like I got some suction going on in my ear. I do have my issues with self-inflating pillows, but sometimes they act as good support for my back, so I'll bring them sometimes. Okay, and this, really important, because I'm doing a lot of recording of my trips, I will need some power source for my drone batteries and my GoPro batteries and my SLR batteries and that kind of thing, and my cell phone. They all need charging, and so I have, this is called an X-Dragon solar charger, and I won't show you the whole thing, but it's pretty big. Well, yeah, I guess I can show you the whole thing. There you go. So this will do a whole lot of charging on bright sunny days. It'll charge batteries, depending on which batteries. I can't get into the details really now, but it'll charge some batteries up in like less than an hour. Of course, the more you put on here to charge, the longer it takes, but it is efficient. And I actually have 2 of these. And so this is an example of one. Sometimes I only bring one, depending on, again, the length of the trip. All right, it's getting a little messy here, but we're making some good progress. We're almost done. All right, so the last of the items that I bring with me that fit in the 110-liter dry bag is, oh, and by the way, just to mention real quick, with the 110-liter bag, a lot of you don't have bags that big, and you say, well, can't you fit it in something smaller? Yeah, you can, actually. The reason I have 110 liters is because it's about as big as you can get, and you can always make it smaller. There's no limit to how small you can make it. If you fill it up halfway, that's great. It still acts as a really comfortable backpack, but you can roll the edges down and clip it, and it's just smaller and lighter, right? You can't go the other way. You can only go as big as its capacity, so that's why I would go for the biggest one possible. All right, so sleeping bag, right? Should go without saying. You can choose whatever kind you want. I don't have a strong opinion here. It depends on, again, the weather and the environment. This one says it's good for 43 degrees Fahrenheit. Whatever, works for me. And then underneath the sleeping bag, I will have a mattress. Mine, I did a review on this. This is an Ecotech mattress. I can blow this one up in 7, I believe, breaths. And I don't mind using my breath and with the humidity, and I know there's issues with that sometimes, but this thing blows up so quickly, and it insulates wonderfully from the ground. I mean, I haven't used it in the wintertime or anything like that, but as far as normal weather from like May to September or even October, it insulates very well. And look at how tiny it is. This thing can actually get smaller than a water bottle. It can be shorter than this. This is long. It's not even in the bag. I rolled it up wrong. But anyway, really, really good. The Ecotech is actually a really good mattress. All right, I bring also one of these. This is my towel, right? It's not like a terry cloth material. It's one of these from MSR, and it's just one of these high absorbency cloths, but it packs into something very, very small. So definitely bring one of these. I mentioned my shoes earlier, and that's what these are. These are my camp shoes, but they're also, I can also switch them out with my Keens and use them as you know, my water shoes and such. And again, that's warm weather. If we get into colder weather, I do have like hiking boots and other waterproof options that I use. But again, I don't want to overwhelm you with too much information. Okay, this is a really bad pack job. I'm kind of embarrassed, but shows you that I'm real. This is my tarp. Right, it's from Unigear, and it's just a regular old nylon tarp. Works well. It's pretty waterproof, and yeah, if you apply it or hang it up properly, it's not going to leak or anything like that. So, got to have one of these in most cases. Now, the reason I even have that tarp is because I'm using a Eureka Solitaire tent, and I only obviously use this when I'm alone. It's a solitaire. It's a one-person tent. I'm starting to get into using my Helsden hammock more. Now the Helsden hammock, I won't get into it. It's a hammock, but it's everything is built in. So it's got a bug screen built in. It's got a rain fly built in. It's got storage underneath, so you don't have to put anything on the ground, and nothing can come at you from the side like insects or anything like that. Like you're completely covered. Or you can uncover yourself as well, obviously, right? So it's a really great option to bring, and you don't have to obviously worry about finding a place to, like on the ground, you know, to pitch your tent. Problem is, it's a little bit bigger than this and heavier, and so, you know, it may or may not work for your trip. So anyway, for this particular trip, I'm going on next week, actually, up to Central Ontario. I'm going to bring my Eureka Solitaire. This is a ground sheet. I'm looking for, guys, this works. This is one of these, just a nylon, you know, a sheet that you can get at any hardware store. But what I'm looking for, I just discovered the idea of using Tyvek house wrap, like a vapor barrier for the outside of your house. You know, the stuff you see on a house you know, it's got plywood on the outside, and then you've got Tyvek, that white stuff, and then you've got the exterior of the house, the siding or the brick or whatever. So the Tyvek is a great material for a ground cloth, and you can kind of crunch it up and make it smaller than this. So that's probably my next ground cloth after this trip. You can get it, I think you can get it on Amazon or something like that. So, all right, almost done. Rain gear. I have a set of like pants. These are from, I think they're from Coleman. And then I also have from Chinook, I have this coat, and again, it's got like a rubber exterior, but it won't crack or anything like that, like the old rubber stuff. This is just really effective, and I find it's more effective than those nylon feeling like a Gore-Tex even. I have Gore-Tex stuff that after a while I start feeling wetness coming through. So this one never will, because it's a kind of a different material. So anyway, heavy duty, but also light. Okay, I do have a couple other coats that I bring on every trip, and this one is my windbreaker. And this is what I have on my body like 90% of the time, unless it's the absolute middle of summer, boiling hot. But anything in the springtime and in the late summer and early fall, I always have this because it's not waterproof. It's water resistant for a while, but it's not waterproof. But if it's raining, of course, I'll put my rain gear on, but most of the time it's not. And so this is the one I have most of the time. It's warm. I often sleep with this. So got to have something like this. And the last item of clothing is this. I don't wear this very often. Sometimes in an emergency, when the weather goes, not the weather, but the bug environment goes crazy, I will use my bug jacket, right? I've had a situation this year where I stepped out of the vehicle in the middle of a forest in May in central Ontario, and immediately, like I don't think my foot even hit the ground, and you could hear them all around you. There was no wind, and you're completely surrounded by a damp forest, and it was insane. Like it just kind of gave me the shivers almost, and I've been doing this for 40 years. So, okay, so the other thing, I said that was my last item. Sometimes I will use this guy. It's not a gimmick. It actually does work. Bug net for your head, and of course you got like a Tilly style hat that holds the net around you away from your face. So all right guys, excuse me, I guaranteed you that everything I just showed you will fit into a 110 liter dry bag, as well as I would say a medium-sized food barrel. Now, of course, what I'm not telling you is how much food to bring or what food to bring. That'll be the subject of something else, another video. But an average size food barrel it works for me and one other person for a week pretty easily. All right, and then the 110 liter will fit, as I said, everything I have that I've just showed you that I'm not going to carry in my arms, which is like paddles and fishing rods and such. So it works perfectly. The last thing I want to tell you is that what I did not tell you is where to put all these things. And again, we can get into that later. I'm thinking of making a course, like an online course available for you guys that gets into the details of like the minutia of a canoe trip or a kayak trip, you know, whitewater, flat water, whatever. But I don't have that done yet. For now, let's just say that everything that I showed you is something that I do bring on a canoe trip. I don't think I missed anything other than, of course, the details of the food. Okay, and of course, you didn't see the actual canoe. Obviously, I'm bringing that along, but that's the only thing you didn't see in this video, all right? So, guys, if you have appreciated this, I would love to have some of your feedback. Just give me some comments below. Tell me what I've missed. Tell me something that you bring that maybe I didn't mention. Please do. I'd love to hear from you. Constructive feedback is always better than destructive feedback. So please do give me your thoughts and give me a like and a subscribe if you want to be nice to me. Always great to hear your feedback and your encouragement. Guys, until the next time that I see you guys or you see me somewhere out there, who knows, get out there. Please enjoy God's creation and keep on looking up. All right, guys, one thing that I just didn't tell you and I just forgot, but it's worth just at least a mention. If you guys are into recording yourself on a trip, like with a GoPro or something, if all you have is a GoPro, it's no big deal. You don't even need a case for that or anything like that. You just stick it in your pocket or keep it clamped to your canoe or throw it into your dry bag, whatever. But I have quite a bit of equipment. I bring, you know, a single lens reflex camera, like a 35mm style camera, and you know, big lenses and stuff. So I bring this guy, right? That's what I didn't mention earlier. But I do have a video, shamefully promoting my own videos. I know. I do have a video where I explain on like a portage what I'm carrying, which items I carry in what order and how I do it, and it does include this as well. And so it's really quite doable, even if you have a special case that you guys have just for your camera equipment. Works pretty well. All right, you can check that video out, or you can just take my word for it. That's the only other thing that I have other than my food barrel, my dry bag, my canoe, and then a couple of external items like I'm wearing my life jacket, I'm carrying my paddle, which I could just put into the canoe itself, but I carry it anyway, and my fishing rod. This can be carried in that trip or on that trip, so it's no big deal. All right, guys, so I do believe that is all that I bring with me